The letter my mother sealed 3 years ago sat unopened in my coat pocket the night they called me a failure for the last time, and I already knew what was inside. I remember the exact sound of my father's laughter when I told them I wasn't contesting the will. Ice in a glass, a door closing somewhere upstairs. My sister didn't even look up from her phone. $250,000 gone in one signature, and I just nodded. "That's fine," I said. 3 words, no tears, no argument. My mother smiled like she'd won something. She had no idea what she'd actually started. I didn't leave that house angry. I left it quiet. And quiet, I would learn, is the most dangerous thing a person can be. My name doesn't matter yet. What matters is that I was the son who stayed quiet at dinner while my brother, Daniel, got toasted for deals he never closed. The one who fixed my father's tax filings every April and never got thanked. Because thanking me would have meant admitting I was useful. I was 29 when my grandfather died and left me. The inheritance outright, not split, not shared mine. My parents said it was a mistake, that he'd been confused near the end. My sister Claire said I didn't deserve it because I'd never really tried. Daniel said nothing at all. He didn't need to. He'd already helped my father find a lawyer. I'd spent my whole life being the reliable one, the forgettable one, the one who remembered birthdays nobody remembered back. I used to think that was weakness. It took losing everything to understand it was reconnaissance. I'd spent 30 years learning exactly how my family thought, what they feared, what they'd sacrificed to protect their image. So when they took the money and smiled at me across that dinner table, I didn't see a defeat. I saw for the first time all their cards face up. The insults never came loud. They came in pauses. At Sunday dinners, my mother would ask Daniel about his big ideas and let the silence stretch after my name, like she was deciding whether I was worth a sentence. My father had a habit of glancing at his watch whenever I spoke, as if my sentences were traffic he had to sit through. "You're so steady," Claire told me once, swirling wine she hadn't earned. "Some people just aren't built for more than that." She smiled when she said it. That was the worst part, the smiling. Cruelty dressed as concern. I started noticing the pattern in small currencies. Christmas gifts that cost less each year. My name left off the family group photo caption. The way conversations about the business, the properties, the money, always paused when I walked into the room, then resumed in a lower register once I sat down, like I was a guest who'd wandered into the wrong meeting. I said nothing. I poured the wine. I cleared the plates. I watched my father's hand rest a beat too long on Daniel's shoulder, and I filed it away. The way you file away a fact you'll need later and don't yet know why. The turning point wasn't loud either. It happened on a Tuesday, in a lawyer's office that smelled like burnt coffee, when I watched my father slide a document across the table and say, "This is just cleaner for everyone." Cleaner. That was the word he used for erasing my name from my grandfather's will and replacing it with a family trust that only 3 people could vote on, and I wasn't one of them. I read the document twice. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me more than the theft itself. I looked up and asked one question. Who drafted this? My father said a name I recognized, a lawyer who'd handled Daniel's divorce 2 years earlier. Sloppy work, rushed, backdated in a way that anyone with half a forensic instinct would catch in about 4 minutes. That was the moment. Not the money. The mistake. I signed it. I even thanked them for including me at all. Walking to my car, I didn't feel defeated. I felt the particular calm of a man who has just been handed, gift-wrapped, the exact tool he needed. They hadn't just taken the money. They'd left fingerprints. I didn't hire a lawyer right away. I became one. In practice, if not in title. I'd spent a decade quietly learning contract law for my own consulting work. And now I put that education to use for the first time in a way that mattered. I requested certified copies of the original will from the county clerk. Public record. Nobody blinks when you ask. I cross-referenced dates. The family trust document was notarized on a day my father's sloppy lawyer was, according to his own firm's website, in Chicago for a conference. A backdated signature. A forged notarization. Small, provable, catastrophic. I didn't confront anyone. I built a file instead. Time-stamped, organized, boring. I opened a separate account. I spoke to a forensic accountant about the pattern of withdrawals from my grandfather's estate in the 18 months before his death. Withdrawals that traced quietly to Daniel's failing business. I kept showing up to dinners. I kept pouring the wine. I let them believe the quiet son had accepted his loss. Because a man who's already lost isn't a man anyone watches closely. The letter my mother had sealed years ago, the one she thought, I'd never read was about to matter more than she knew. I didn't send the file to my family. I sent it to the county recorder's office, the State Bar's disciplinary board, and the trustee bank. 3 quiet institutions that don't care about anyone's feelings, only about evidence. Then I opened the letter. My mother had sealed it the week my grandfather died, back when she still thought I'd never ask questions. Inside was a note in his handwriting, kept safe by her out of guilt, not love. A note confirming the inheritance was mine alone, because he sees what the rest of you refuse to. She'd hidden his last wish in a drawer for 3 years, and let me believe I'd been forgotten. I didn't need to add it to the file. The forged trust was already collapsing on its own, but I kept it because some things you hold on to not for leverage, for truth. 6 weeks later, the bank froze the trust pending investigation. The lawyer lost his license. Daniel's name came up in a fraud inquiry tied to the withdrawals. I heard about all of it secondhand, from relatives suddenly eager to call me. I never raised my voice once. I never had to. The paperwork did what I'd spent 30 years too polite to do. My mother called first, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. "We didn't think you'd actually look," she said, like that was an apology. My father didn't call at all. Pride doesn't know how to dial a phone. Claire sent a text 3 paragraphs long, explaining, justifying, never once using the word sorry. Daniel was the only one who came in person. He stood on my porch in a coat, too expensive for a man under federal inquiry, and asked me, quietly, what I wanted. Not what I wanted from him. What I wanted, period. Nobody in that family had asked me that in 30 years. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to watch them suffer to feel whole again. That would have made me someone I didn't want to be. I just told him the truth. I never wanted the money as much as I wanted to stop being invisible at my own family's table. The trust stayed frozen. The lawyer's case moved to formal disbarment. My parents' name, once spoken with a kind of local reverence, started drawing quieter tones at the same dinners I used to sit through in silence. I didn't destroy them. I just stopped protecting them from what they'd already done. People ask me if I forgive them. I tell them forgiveness was never the question. I forgave a long time ago, somewhere between the wine pouring and the watching. What I couldn't do was keep disappearing to make their story easier to tell. I moved, not far, just far enough that Sunday dinners became a choice instead of an obligation. I started my own consulting firm. The same patient, unglamorous work that once made me easy to overlook now pays my mortgage twice over. My mother still calls more than she used to. I answer sometimes. I'm learning that love and access aren't the same thing, and I'm allowed to give one without the other. Claire reached out last month, asking if I'd help her review a contract. I said yes, not because I owe her anything, but because helping people was never my weakness. Being unseen while I did it was. I still think about that sealed letter sometimes, the one my mother kept in a drawer for 3 years, thinking silence was a kindness. She was wrong, but I understand her a little better now, because I kept my own silence for just as long, and mine built something